Hey Kirby, just general thoughts on Saturday's scrimmage and just where do you feel like this team is with, I guess, about a week and a half for the first game?
Yeah, I felt that the scrimmage was hot and it affected our performance as opposed to the first scrimmage. In the history of those scrimmages, it usually goes, scrimmage 1, we struggle, scrimmage 2, we get better. This was more of a scrimmage 1 was 70 degrees. It was really fast. It was really competitive. It was a really good scrimmage 1, and then scrimmage 2 was similar to past scrimmage 2s where we had some sloppiness. Guys got tired, water in the shoes, just it was hot. So they did push through. They had a really good camp. We practiced Thursday, Friday really hard leading into Saturday, so we didn't expect to have the highest speeds in terms of the guys running, and that wasn't the purpose. The purpose was to get game-like situations, tackle live. We achieved those purposes, and we came out pretty unscathed injury-wise, which is big when you tackle. So we still got a ways to go. Didn't have as much success defensively in the second scrimmage as we did in the first, but we had bright spots individually, probably on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, Coach, I think when you were asked at SEC Media Day if bringing Gunner was you naming him to start, I think you mentioned there was still a continued competition at the spot. Are you prepared to name him the starter for whatever that means?
And, so y'all can write about it? No, no.
What I really want to ask, Coach, is what do you expect to see from him this year at quarterback now that camp has
good decisions? Good decisions. Make good decisions. Continue to develop understanding situational football. We've made football so complicated. Some quarterbacks, I don't think they know the down and distance. Like, I don't think they actually know, do I have another down after this play, or is this my last chance to get the first down? It's just little things, being a quarterback, understanding the game, understanding what the defense is doing. He's grown so much in regards to that. ID and protections, ID and run game. Playing quarterback is, it's like being a computer. It's got a million things going on at once, and he's gotten better at handling those things, and that's what I want to see him do when he gets the opportunity.
Yeah, through 2 scrimmages and however many practices, where do you feel like the receiver group is at as a whole, and especially with Noah and Zachariah kind of bringing the transfer guys up to speed and building chemistry with Gunner?
Yeah, the receiver group does some really good things at times. It's been hot at some practices, which creates it makes it tough catching situations when you're in the wet world of sweat everywhere. So it makes it really hard to be functional sometimes when it gets like that. But when we're inside playing fast, more game speed type things, not the mental toughness stuff, they've done a really good job. We have some depth at those positions. We're trying to put those guys in key positions on special teams, which the last couple of years I feel like we've had 8, 9 guys at wide receiver that contribute and play special teams. This year, hoping that's 10, 11, and that difference of 2 is a lot on special teams.
Yeah, in the offseason, you guys moved Chris Jones from inside linebacker to outside linebacker. Why do you think he's able to help you guys there, and what have you seen from him at that position this fall?
Well, he helps us because he has length. He has the ability to play on tackles. We multi-purpose those guys. There's not an outside linebacker that hadn't been here that we don't ask to stack, fall over the top. Play goes away, you become an inside backer, play to you. You got to be able to play on offensive tackles and set edges, and he's able to do both those things. He's grown a lot at that position. He continues to grow. He's a kid that we want to be able to develop as both inside linebacker, outside linebacker. He does some packages on third down that allow him to play stack back and rush from standing up, things he's done in the past. So it really just, it helps our team. He's got the ability to be versatile.
Coach, how would you describe the competition level during camp between offensive line and defensive line? How have those 2 groups kind of pushed each other?
Yeah, I think any physical camp, training camp, those guys get to be closer than anybody else because they're constantly on top of each other, hitting each other, and play in, play out, challenging each other, whether it's pass rush or running the ball or conversional pass play action. They get after each other a lot, and both groups respect each other and go about it the right way. And I think that's the tone that each O-line and D-line coaches, those guys in those rooms, we have to protect each other in there, but we've also got to make each other better. That's a fine line. between how you play the game from a safety standpoint and a violence standpoint to getting better versus taking care of each other. And both groups have done a really good job to me in camp of challenging each other.
What stood out to you from what Gabe did during fall camp, and how do you see his role on this defense?
What stood out as far as what he did fall camp, he did what he was supposed to do. You know, he's executing probably at a higher rate than he did this time last year. He didn't go through spring practice, so we've had to balance what is the right number of reps to get him in shape and get him better, but not wear him down as a 270 pound, 65, 70 pound guy that he's having to fill some big shoes that have played here in the past between Ty Ingram and Michael and those guys. It's a role that he's serviced, and he's done a nice job doing what we asked.
Coach, how are you looking from a penalty standpoint this far into camp? Because I know you have refs at all the practices, we call a lot, call less. And also, what does this week look like? You're kind of, you're getting closer to the season. Are you into game prep yet? Or?
Yeah, we take this week and continue to work at us and get better for us. You know, the staff has off-season work they've done on opponents as well as our opening opponents. But today, tomorrow, and really the rest of the week is focused on what did we need to improve on coming out of the scrimmage, what situations have we not hit, how do we get the bottom of our roster caught up to the top, how do we get healthy, just what do we need defensively, offensively, and special teams. And some of those are set things we need that we have to check off. Other ones are, we haven't been quite as good at this, we need to improve it this camp. And then the first question was about penalties. You know, it's hit or miss. I mean, we've had days we've had more of this than that, and some days less of this than that. And we do a penalty report every day. We go over with the players. We coach them on that. We show them clips of past calls that would have been called, wouldn't have been called in that same scenario. And we have a long kind of encyclopedia or library of clips and calls and games, and try to show them ones similar to the ones they got so they can learn from them.
Yeah, you mentioned all the stuff that Gunner's got to deal with and process and everything like that. How do you guys try to simulate all those fast-paced decisions in practice, and how much of it just comes with the live game reps at some point?
No, we simulated practice. That's what we do. That's why we practice, right? So you simulate it for a quarterback. It's not any different between practice and a game. We're not hitting him. So, you know, it's one of those things that you get lots of reps at it, but there's a decision that he has to make every play. It's not a play that he takes that he doesn't have to at least decide something, because that's what offenses evolve to. You don't want to be in a bad play. So the best way to avoid a bad play is to give people options. The more options you give them, the tougher it is, and the more tough it is, the more you get second guessed. So that's what we do.
Coach, you touched a little bit on the receiver room as a whole, but what have you seen from London Humphreys so far through fall camp, and what do you see his role being with the transfers and the freshmen that have come in this year?
Yeah, London's been great. He's a high-quality special teams player, has become very reliable, made some huge plays for us last year in the Clemson game, the Tennessee game. He does a lot of really good things for us, and he has consistency in performance. He has dependability. He's got fire, passion, and energy. We're very fortunate to have someone of his character, quality, speed, athleticism. So we've got a lot of expectations for him.
You know, with guys like Josh McRae and Roderick Robinson and the size physically that they bring to the running attack, how important is that physical element and having sort of a bruiser type running back important to what you guys want to do in the rushing game this year?
Yeah, you know, running back's a running back. I don't, you know, you guys' job is to say the size of the back. Derrick Henry's a big back. He's big, but he bounces out a lot and outruns people to the edge. That's the way he was when he played. I've seen really small guys like Dejan get inside really hard yards and be 190 pounds. I don't try to put guys in categories. Let them be who they are. If you're going to be a big back and not be super elusive, then you better be physical and run that way. But the identity of the back is based on the back, and I don't think that proves itself out except for in scrimmages and games when things are tackled.
Kirby, I got a 10,000-foot question here. We've seen more playoff talk, and recently the Big Ten is reportedly considering expanding to 24 or 28 games. That would mean the eliminations of potentially some championship games. What are your thoughts on the importance of the big championship games and expanded playoffs?
Yeah, I'm probably like most people, the majority of, I would love to be able to expand the playoffs if it's done the right way in terms of giving more teams opportunity. I think that's what fan bases want. People are not excited about a mid-tier bowl game in some of these programs they're at. I think those bowl games are great experiences. I played in them, I've coached in them, I love them. That's an opportunity. But the more teams you give an opportunity to decide things on the field, like you do, whether it's college basketball, high school football, old 1AA football, back when they had the playoff. I mean, you're going to get things decided on the grass. So yeah, I'd be for that. And you say, well, what about the championship games? I love the championship games. Can you have your cake and eat it too? Can you move the season up, start it, get it done? If you can't, and you can only have one of those two, I don't know which one I would pick, because it would probably depend on the format.
We'll have a chance to talk to Justin Williams in a few minutes. Where do you feel like he's grown the most going into his second year in the program?
Probably physically. He came in very intelligent mentally, very instinctive, very bright-eyed, and loves football. He's got every part of the fire, passion, energy we want. He's gotten a little heavier. He came in a little bit lighter. He's gotten a little bit heavier. He's able to take on things. He understands the defense better. He's improving as a tackler. It's one of the areas that he really targets, is getting better at, and he knows he has to work on that to be an effective player. But I'm very pleased with where he is. I was very pleased with where he was last year in terms of coming in and doing what he needed to do.
Kirby, a little bit of a game management question. There's been attention, I think especially in the NFL, about the middle 8 section. I'm wondering how much you all look at that. Obviously, the Notre Dame game was decided score-wise. Yeah. How much do you all look at that? Do you think it has kind of outsized importance? And like situationally, I know you practice 2-minute offense, but how do you account for the middle 8, that idea?
Yeah, since I came to Georgia, Mel Tucker was on our staff. We talked about it. It was a big NFL thing at that time. I don't think we had the 2-minute warning per se, which everything was 2 minute. It just wasn't a 2-minute warning. But we've kept a stat since we've been here every year, and we show it every Monday who won the middle 8. And the middle 8 it's not any more important now than it was then. We talked about it for a long time, and we've won it in a lot of games, and we've lost it in some games. But it's crazy, the statistics between one year everybody talks about turnovers. Well, that's the greatest indicator of who wins. The next year it's explosive plays. That's the greatest indicator of what determines who wins games, is who has more explosive plays. Both of those are huge indicators. And then there's the belief that the middle 8 is the greatest indicator of who wins games. And statistically, you can go year to year, and it's just very thin margins between the difference in who wins games over those 3 factors. So middle 8, you could say, it's just as critical as those. You're trying to double possession people. It's why a lot of people defer in the first half to get a double possession. It's a lot of strategy in it. There's a lot more people going forward on 4th down, closer to half, to keep somebody from getting an extra possession. But we look at it, we study it, we try to attack it the right way. We historically have been really good at that, and probably the worst we've ever been at it was the Notre Dame. We've never been outscored that much in that period without touching the ball.
I'm curious for you guys, kind of as many fall camps as you've had here, this camp with the emphasis on effort and the blue caps being kind of implemented this offseason, has that created any sort of unique dynamics that have been different than years past, or has been anything in general about this camp that has felt different to you than years past?
Not really. The temperature was the biggest difference in this camp. The first, I don't know exactly how many practices, I would say 9, 10, or 11. It was really cool and uniquely cool. And then back to normal. That's been the most different thing about the camp. It hasn't been a huge difference in terms of what we do.
Kirby,
Kirby, how do you evaluate what you've seen from Daniel Harris and Ellis Robinson this preseason?
I think both players have got tremendously better. I think Dante's done a really good job with all the corners, but those guys, DeMello has gotten better and made more plays and tackled well. Dom and Jonte as young players, both getting better. Dalen has probably a little bit lightened rep load in terms of multiple positions, learning different things, but still playing. And he didn't go through spring, so it made it where, like, okay, he had to get back to competing and challenging and doing things. But those guys have done a tremendous job, and both the two you mentioned have gotten better throughout the year.
How would you assess how you guys are as a tackling team, and what are some of the things you guys work on to improve in tackling, given the emphasis you put on it this fall?
Yeah, we're not the tackling team we need to be. I can tell you that from the last scrimmage. The only way to get better at it is practice it. So what do? We practice it, but we try to practice it in safe ways. When you tackle to the ground 11 on 11, statistics indicate it's your highest injury rate. So every coach in the country is torn between possibly losing a starter versus missing tackles in opening games. So we do the best job we can to simulate it. Our defensive staff spends countless hours on leverage, pursuit, tackling, but nobody's perfect at it.
All right, kicking question, Coach. First, Peyton Buckner, how's he kind of done this fall camp? And as far as Brett Thorson goes, kind of how far along is he? You have an idea if you're going to be ready to go? And Drew Miller, how's he done?
Yeah, I thought Drew had his best scrimmage since being here. His last scrimmage, he hit really good hang time distances and field zones. I think he was 5 for 6 in his field zones, hit some really good pooches. Brett is kicking. He did not kick in the scrimmage. He kicked at the scrimmage, just not live in the rush periods. So he's improving. He's getting better. I don't know if he would say he's 100% yet. I can't answer the question whether he's going to go in the first game or not. We're going to see where he is, see how he's doing, and you know where he and Drew compete to find out. Because Drew's playing really well, at least in the second scrimmage. He played better than the first.
Any more questions for Coach? All right, Coach, thank you.
Good job.